Alright, today we are going to be talking about reading and writing to files in Python. This is a very interesting topic because any programming language you use or any program you are going to write at some point is going to either save file to disk or read some file from disk. For instance, you are writing a game program. A game program is such a way that if user is playing a game, he can actually save this game and then continue the next day. And when he continues, the game will still recognize him when he opens it. So how do you save file to a disk and then retrieve this file again? Is by writing them to files and then opening and closing files. So in Python, it's really super easy to read and write the files, and that is what I'm going to teach you in this tutorial. I'd like to remind you to subscribe to my channel. If you look below this video, you'll see the subscribe button on it. Click in the subscribe button to subscribe, and also leave a comment to let me know your observations, and also like the video, it's been informative for you. So let's get started. Before I continue, let me just show you the file we are going to be working with. Let me show you the file we are going to be working with. I call this students.txt. So it's a simple file in Notepad, so you'll be able to follow along in this lesson. All right. So the first thing you want to do in reading and writing the file is to open this file. So the open statement is actually a function. And what do you know about functions? A function executes and returns a return value. So the open statement is a function that returns a value. The value it returns is the content of the file. So if we say open, the next thing we are going to specify is a file name. So the file name, so you can see that there is some pop-up coming up. This is called IntelliSense. So it tries to tell you what next to do. So in this case, you see it's telling us that the next thing we are going to write is the mode, and that takes us to the next line, file modes. So file mode simply tells the program what you want to do with this file. Do you want to read from it? Do you want to write from it? Do you want to append data into it? Do you want to read and write at the same time? So these are called the file modes. So the first one is the read. So if I specify R, so R is for the read mode. It means we are opening this file to read from it. So the next mode you want to know is, you can guess it, is W. It means write. You want to open this file to write some data into this file. Then you also have the append. It means you want to open this file so that you append data at the end of the file. Then we also have the R plus. You open this file is a mode that allows you to read and write. There is something about the write mode we are going to be talking about later, because if you open the file for write mode, it's actually going to overwrite whatever is in there. We are going to talk about it when we discuss writing to files. For now, let's open our file and read the data from it. So I'm going to use the read mode. So if I execute this line, the file will be open. One thing you want to do is to close the file. So let me come here. After executing, I'm going to close it. But there's something I'm saying about return value. This open, execute, and returns the content of the file. And the content of the file has to be assigned to a variable. So let me call that variable students data. So what it means is that students data now contains the content of this file. So after working with it, I can just close it. Right? Good. So in between now, the file is open. In between this line and this line, the file is open at this point. So it means I can do whatever I want to do in this file. So if I want to display every item from this file, I'll simply say students data.read. Right? Good. So students data.read reads the content of the file, and then let me just print whatever is there. Print students data.read. So if I run this, it's going to print out whatever is in students data file. So let's run it and see what happens. So it says students. Okay, so we have students data. So there's a typo here, so I'm going to fix it. I'm going to run it again. So you can see the content of the file printed out in this place very easily. So this is how to read files, but now let me show you another thing you need to know. For instance, you may want to read these files line by line. So there is a statement called the readline that lets you read the first line in the file. So if you say student data.readline, it actually will read the first line of the line of text in the file. So let's see. So you can see this is just the first one. And then if I execute this statement again, it's going to read the next line. The reason is because in between these two, the file is still open. So when it reads the first one, read line, it reads the next one, also a read line. So if I execute again, it reads the first one and the second one, and in the same way, you can actually continue to read the lines in this file, okay? So there is another thing you might need to know, and that is a with statement. This with statement always appears in interviews or in quiz or job interviews. The with statement is very important. So the with statement actually helps you to open and close a file when you are done working with the file. So let's say we have a whole lot of things we want to do with the file, and let's say we forget to open or we forget to close this file. There will be a problem. The file will remain open. So the with statement helps solve this problem. So to use the with statement, let's assume we forgot to use the close statement. You can simply say with open student.txt as students data. So this is also about let's see, indent as expected. So every other thing after the with statement is going to be indented. So this is about the same thing with the previous one. So if I execute it, you see it executes fine. So if you are asked which is better, is it to use the open and the close or the with statement? It's always better to use the with statement to open and close at the same time. So this ensures that the file is closed after you've used it. All right. So what I want to show you is also another statement called the readlines statement. So the readline statement reads all the lines in this file. So let me use a variable this time. Let's say student equal to students data dot readlines. So the readline statement creates an array, right? So it creates an array or a list, as it were, because Python call it lists instead of array, and assigns it to this. So the students variable now contains all the data in it. So if I want to display the content, I can just display this list. So I can just say print student. So at this point, it's going to print out everything in a list, as you can see here, with a new line separator. So before I conclude, let me just use a loop to loop through the contents of this file. So I'll simply say for students, in students, print student. So let's see. So you see, Python is really easy. So this is a complete loop for student. It's actually for each student in students. So that's how you write it. Print student. And let's see what happens. Let me give some room here. Print. So it loops through everything and actually prints it, right? Another way to write this for loop is to use for student in students data dot read line in students data dot read, right? So I think this read will be a function. So if I print, it also, okay, it doesn't print anything. So you actually need to specify read line. So read lines. For students, okay, I already assigned, let's give it a second, yeah. Okay, so actually you need to use the this variable, but it should also work here. So let's try to put this in parentheses. Okay, so it doesn't work. So you simply say for student in students, right? So if I run it, it loops. Okay, so this is basically, I think we covered for loops. So this is basically how to read files in Python. So in the next lesson, we are going to now discuss how to write our data and append data into a file in Python. I'd like to thank you for viewing. I'll be stopping here this time and also remind you to like and also leave a comment for me.